The containment field flickered blue around Elizabeth's crumpled form, casting pale shadows across the obsidian walls of the Crithian interrogation chamber. Her breath came in ragged gasps, each inhalation sending fresh spears of pain through her broken ribs. The alien overseer, Vector, had been thorough in his questioning. Too thorough. Blood trickled from a gash above her eye, blurring her vision as she tried to focus on the door that had just hissed open. Through the haze of pain, Elizabeth saw her. The newcomer stood frozen in the doorway, her 4 arms trembling at her sides. She was Valerian, Elizabeth realized, one of the conquered species that served the Crithian Empire as slave soldiers. Her chitinous exoskeleton gleamed with an iridescent purple sheen, and her large, multifaceted eyes reflected a kaleidoscope of terror and confusion. The Valerian's name was Shivara, though Elizabeth wouldn't learn this until much later. What Elizabeth did know, with the cold certainty of someone who had survived 3 years of guerrilla warfare against the Crithian occupation, was that this creature had been sent to finish what Vector had started. Shivara's primary hands clutched a neural disruptor, a weapon designed to inflict maximum agony before death. Her secondary hands were empty, clenched into fists that shook with an emotion Elizabeth couldn't quite identify. The Valerian took a hesitant step forward, and Elizabeth closed her eyes, bracing herself for the end. She thought of Earth, of green hills and blue skies that she would never see again. Of her younger brother, Noah, who she'd left behind when she volunteered for the resistance. Noah had begged her not to go, had clutched her hand with tears streaming down his 12-year-old face. "You'll come back, right, Lizzie?" he'd asked. She'd promised him she would. Another promise broken. But the searing pain never came. Instead, Elizabeth felt something cool and gentle touch her forehead. Her eyes snapped open in surprise. Shivara had knelt beside her, all 4 hands now working with surprising tenderness. One pair was deactivating the containment field, while the other pair was applying something to Elizabeth's wounds, a pale blue gel that immediately began numbing the pain. "What?" Elizabeth croaked, her voice barely functional. "Quiet, human," Shivara whispered in heavily accented but understandable standard. Her mandibles clicked nervously. "They monitor, but not here, not yet. Vector believes you broken, believes I will finish." Elizabeth's mind raced, trying to make sense of this impossible situation. Every intelligence briefing had been clear. The Valerians were loyal servants of the Empire, broken and conditioned over generations of servitude. They didn't help prisoners. They didn't show mercy. Shivara worked quickly, her movements practiced and efficient. She produced a small medical scanner from a hidden compartment in her armor and ran it over Elizabeth's injuries. 3 fractured ribs, subcutaneous hemorrhaging, minor concussion. Her voice was clinical, detached, but her hands remained impossibly gentle. "You are lucky, human. Vector usually kills before he sends for the executioner. Why are you helping me?" Elizabeth managed to ask. The Valerian's large eyes fixed on her, and for a moment something profoundly sad flickered in their depths. "Because I remember," she said softly. "I remember when we had a choice." Over the next hour, as Shivara tended to Elizabeth's wounds with stolen medical supplies, the story emerged in fragmented whispers. Shivara had once been a healer on Valar Prime before the Crithians came. She had watched her world burn, her family perish, and her people enslaved. But unlike most Valerians, she had retained her core memories, a glitch in the neural conditioning process that she'd hidden for 15 years. "I have seen what humans do," Shivara continued, applying a brace to Elizabeth's ribs. "When you discovered the Crithians attacking the Deloran colony on Proxima 7, your ships were outnumbered 5 to 1. Logic dictated retreat," Elizabeth remembered. "The Battle of Proxima 7 was legendary in the Resistance, but humans do not follow logic." Shivara's mandibles curved in what might have been a smile. "You charged 30 human fighters against a Crithian battle group. You lost 16 ships, but you saved 40,000 Deloran civilians. Why? The Delorans were strangers to you. You had no tactical advantage to gain." "Because it was the right thing to do," Elizabeth said simply. Shivara's hands paused in their work. "Yes, the right thing." She seemed to taste the words, finding them strange and wonderful. "The Crithians do not understand this. They believe all species think as they do. That power is the only currency that matters. But humans, she made a sound that might have been laughter or a sob. Humans fight for those who cannot fight. Humans give when they have nothing left to give. Humans choose compassion even when it costs them everything. We're not that special, Elizabeth protested weakly. We're just trying to survive. No. Shivara's voice was firm now, stronger. You are trying to live. There is a difference. Survival is merely drawing breath. Living is choosing to matter, to make your existence mean something beyond yourself. She finished securing the last bandage and sat back on her haunches. I am taking you to the maintenance tunnels. There is a resistance cell, 3 other Valerians who remember. We will get you to the extraction point. Your people are coming. Elizabeth stared at her in shock. How do you know? Because humans always come back for their own, even when it is foolish, even when it is dangerous. Shivara stood and offered her 2 primary hands to help Elizabeth up. Your brother Noah sent a message through underground channels. He is on the rescue ship. He says to tell you he is not 12 anymore and you made him a promise. Tears blurred Elizabeth's vision, mixing with the blood still drying on her face. She took Shivara's hands that should have killed her, hands that had instead chosen mercy, and let herself be pulled to her feet. Why did you really help me? Elizabeth asked as they moved toward the door. The real reason. Shivara paused, her exoskeleton gleaming in the dim light. Because you humans taught me something I thought I had forgotten. You taught me that even in the darkest places, even when facing annihilation, the choice to be kind is the only choice that truly matters. You braced for death, human Elizabeth, but I choose to give you life instead. This is what humans do. You spread hope like a contagion, and I wish to be infected. As they slipped into the shadowed corridors, Elizabeth understood. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology or tactics. It was the simple, stubborn refusal to let cruelty have the final word, even when cruelty seemed inevitable. And that weapon, that philosophy, had just turned an enemy into an ally. In the darkness, resistance bloomed, and it wore both human and alien faces alike.